its attempts at governance. This is the 254th episode, and we're back to talk about Polkadot referendum and governance here with a beautiful panel. Once again, we're going to start with the state of the Treasury, which is looking a little strange this week, and I'll try to explain why. But we are up an astounding 4.11 million DOT from this time last week. Why is that? Well, it's because the bounty count has finally been fixed. So that's kind of alarming. But that brings the total DOT stack to 26.81 million. We are also up we're up 30,000 USDT, bringing the stockpile to 2.74 million, and up 120,000 USDC, bringing that pile to 4.32 million. That's the state of the Treasury. I'll now throw it over to Funky for the state of the funk.
Thanks so much, Jay. The state of the funk is energized because I am back from Washington, D.C. I'm so sorry to have missed the call last week, but the one thing I want to say is that, I mean, no offense to any of our legislators here in the United States, they know nothing, and I mean nothing about blockchain, about crypto, about this industry. They're largely being informed by powerful voices, especially among the banks. But what this presents to us is a unique opportunity as Polkadot ecosystem agents, because we now can take the lead in educating them, just like James and I have been doing here in the state of Florida, in the Sunshine State. There is a tremendous opportunity. Because of the Blockchain Association and the Web3 Foundation being a member, I cannot encourage the Web3 Foundation to get involved with the Blockchain Association. They will set up team. They will take the GR team with you to the meetings, introduce you, basically say what it is that they're working for. So if the Web3 Foundation cannot do this themselves, please tap into this wonderful grassroots community of agents here among this. Those who watch AAG, those who participate in the dialogue all the time. Let us be the emissaries of Polkadot, especially those who are here in the United States and can educate these legislators. It's such an important and momentous time. Thanks so much, Jay.
And thank you very much, Funky. And thank you so much for doing that exciting work. Looking forward to seeing you in Las Vegas next week, right, buddy? Oh boy, that's going to be fun. Okay, so that's great. We're now going to throw it over to Limo, coming at us from 42 VPNs deep for a look at referenda gone by.
GM. Yeah, there's 14 refs gone by this week, so I'll try and get through them all really quick. The first one's quite a big one. This is from an anonymous account, a Wish for Change, ref 1633. This was approved, and this requests the PCF to repatriate centrifuge deployed assets to the Treasury. I believe that's mainly because centrifuge has left the ecosystem. Then we've got a couple by Colourful Notion. The first one is a Wish for Change, ref 1626. This was rejected, and this was a proposal to rebrand DOT to Jam. I think it was pretty bigly made. Then we've got a big spender from them as well, ref 1642. This was rejected, and this was for 610,000 USDC for Polkadot data on June and BigQuery. I'm looking forward to another proposal, hopefully, of someone actually taking up the June analytics thing. It's really useful, and it sucks that we don't have it now. Then we've got Apple on the big spender track, ref 1631. This was rejected, but they did ask people to name, they're going to resubmit it, and it was for 575,000 USD for Pixel Proof, a decentralized photo app for everyone. Then we've got Coin Studio on the medium spender track. A load of these next ones are medium spenders. Ref 1651. This was approved, and it's for 42,000 DOT for the Polkadot Systems Parachain Collator Bounty. We need to pay these collators to keep running because they can't make enough revenue themselves on these system chains quite yet. Then we've got Lime Chain, ref 1644. This was rejected, and it was for 172,000 USDC for Dev Ground Phase 2. So we'll see if they come back. Then we've got Paraspell. Dudo was on the show explaining this one. This is ref 1641. This was approved, and it was for 148,000 USDC for Paraspell, 12 months of maintenance and server costs. Paraspell is used by a bunch of apps like Turtle, DAP, and I think Codadot. Then we've got Coding SH. This is ref 1639. It was rejected, but it was for 22,000 DOT for a PAPI simulator. Then we've got Frequent OpenGov Participants 1 block, ref 1638. This was approved, and it was for 376,000 USD for 1 block, 2025 developer education and community expansion. Then we've got one that I think was on the line. This is Cyborg Network, ref 1637. It was approved, is for 137,000 USDC for Cyborg Network, unlocking Polkadot's Web 2.5 potential through blockchain and blockchain-powered AI inference. Then we've got one that I think is going to get resubmitted, and I see Tommy on the show. This is by Alice and Bob, Ref 1635. It was rejected, and it was for 130,000 USDC and 3K dot for hiring an ecosystem talent lead for DAO and OpenGov jobs. I'm expecting you to come back with a revised proposal here, Tommy. Then we've got Polkadot Italy, Ref 1634. This was approved. This one was on the line, I think, as well. It was for 59,000 USDC for the Polkadot Community Foundation to partner with the Blockchain and Web3 Observatory in Italy. Then we've got SimDot on the Big Tibber track with 1677. This was rejected. It was for 1,000 dot for a Polkadot Builder Map interactive tool. I think a lot of these kind of things exist, and it'd be good if they were all combined in one nice place, I think. And finally, one that just got approved. This is by Mr. James Sluster on the Big Tibber track, Ref 1683. This was approved, and it's for 2.4 thousand USDT for a 6-month renewal of the Allen B. Center of Innovation membership in, I believe, Florida. And that, I think, are all the rest gone by this week.
Congratulations, James. Nice to see that pass. Finally, you were able to get that $2,500 across the line there. What are you going to do with the space going forward?
I mean, what I've always done there, it's a really dynamic space. It serves 3 counties in the Florida area. There are a million events there, so continue to do meetups. We're going to introduce the co-working Wednesdays. We're going to give a shout at the Wood community as well.
Nice.
We do lots of BD, IR, all the normal stuff.
Cool. All right, sounds very good. All right, so let's start the show today with a few reviews at past refs. We're going to start with a summary of just some of the data we've gathered together in this .rfp number 1. This was the group. There's just a kid in this hotel lobby singing. There's a... Oh yeah, there's the there is what am I trying to say? I don't know what I'm trying to say. Oh yeah, we got a Telegram group together. We had $7,000 of incentives. The curators were myself, Rob, and Mark Tachia, and we put together a lot of interesting information. I'm going to present that information to you now, and then later today, by tonight, I'm going to be posting on the forum a summary of this information, and then 3 separate threads showing 3 potential. I'll share screen in just a sec. Yeah, showing potential. Wait. Showing potential step change inflation models that we might want to vote on in the future. Okay, so yeah, let me pull this up here. Let's see if we can do it. See, baby, why can't I find a little peaceful place to do shows? Yesterday, during Tommy's Space, we were well harassed by people. Okay, can you guys all see this? Yeah, cool.
Yep.
Sounds good. Let's get rolling here. So 8 minutes on the clock there, please, Funkatron. This is a little bit about Captain Stepped supply. This is, as you guys know, something that was first brought up by Gavin Wood about 18 months ago. And then about 6 weeks ago, we picked up the conversation, and it has caught fire in the ecosystem. The goal of this project is to set a psychologically resonant economic framework that compels value creation. What's happening today is that we have this infinite inflation runway. It's like Daddy has given us a credit card, and he keeps extending the credit limit, and we have no motivation to create streams of revenue. We're just going to keep sucking value from DOT holders, and yeah, I guess until DOT totally collapses, and that's the state of it right now. Instead, we want to create this economic framework that is compelling, makes people want to hold DOT, and also pushes us to create new revenue streams. The rules of this game that we're trying to do is to set step curve inflation to a specific capped supply. And we want to make this game simple, and we want to make this game certain. A few things are out of scope of what we're trying to do here. The percentage of inflation that goes to Treasury versus nominators and validators, the treasury burn, the percentage of fees that are burned, the percentage of core time that are burned, the floor price of core time, any hypothetical revenue drivers that people can fantasize about. These things are important, but we want to let these be levers that are debated and pulled by OpenGov under a stringent economic framework that we can't change. So this is what the situation looks like so far. We've created about 1.6 billion DOT. We've burned about this much, and there's about 1.58 billion DOT circulating. Now, a few months ago, maybe 8 or 9 months ago, we did change inflation to a fixed 1.2 million DOT per year. And because the inflation is fixed, year over year, the inflation percentage is going down because the total circulating DOT is going up. So the percentage of that that's added as inflation, that percentage is going down. This curve looks quite nice, but not so much when you look at it on a chart like this. This is the all-time DOT inflation. This is all the DOT that we've created since the beginning. And where that little blue circle is right there, that little blue circle, that is where we changed inflation. Okay, so now we have this straight line, 120 million DOT per year. Yeah, that's this inflation pile is going to keep growing under the current model. Okay, so one model you can keep in your head here. One question I want everybody to ask themselves is, where does DOT sit on the hard money spectrum today? Okay, on one side of the spectrum is paper money. It is an asset worth selling. It's toilet paper. You want to get rid of it because if you hold it, it's going to hurt you. On the other side of the spectrum is hard money. Think gold, think Bitcoin. Holding it is something you want to do because you believe in the future. You are going to benefit from that. You can just ask yourself right now where DOT lies on this spectrum. Everybody's going to have a different answer. But one of the goals of this mission is to move DOT, wherever you think it is today on the spectrum, to move it to the right. Not so it competes with Bitcoin or anything like that, but so it is a harder money asset. So it is something that's worth holding. Because DOT worth selling damages network security. It makes the value of the DOT that's staked go down. It damages staking rewards. It damages treasury income. It damages network confidence, and it damages the impetus to create revenue. Benefits of cap supply: it adds a store of value utility. It adds investor certainty, and it's a powerful industry meme, probably the most powerful industry meme we have. Here are the top 5 networks that have a cap supply. Here's Bitcoin and what it looks like. 95% released 4-year halving schedule. Here's XRP. The inflation of XRP is kind of funny. It's strategic sales by Ripple because they hold like, I don't know, 40% of the supply right now. Here's what BNB looks like. BNB is totally distributed and they are burning toward 100 million BNB target. Here's what ADA looks like, a kind of a funny inflation schedule, but you can look into it there. And here's what AVAX looks like. Interestingly, AVAX expects to reach their cap supply by 2030. They need to solve the revenue problem by then. That's what our competition is doing. Here are the benefits of stepped inflation. Actionable moments for holder behavior. We see how Bitcoin steps influence the entire industry. And these kind of, I guess they're not technically Schelling points, I've learned, but these Schelling points to gather around and form behaviors could be very useful. Predictable income decline. It creates urgency. We see that, okay, in 5 months, inflation is going to be cut in half, and we want to replace inflation with revenue. That will be the goal. This is the anatomy of a step change. So the longer inflation periods influence how soon we reach the cap, how many years of stability we have. For all the models we're going to present, we do a 2-year step. That seems to be the most popular. So a step on the same year as Bitcoin step, and then a step in between Bitcoin steps. So a step every 2 years. And then here's the size of the step. This is the other variable. These 2 variables basically create the step change model. Okay, so warning: step change inflation to a cap supply will force us to increase network profitability or face the consequences of reduced income. We can try to prevent that by reducing expenses or increasing revenue. The following step change examples, I don't think employ was correctly, but push us with different pressure ranging from hard to soft. So these models, some of them are kind of extreme. We'd have to work very hard to cut expenses and increase revenues. Some of them are a bit softer, and you're going to see. Again, the reason we have to do this is because we're basically sucking dot dry. Gavin, 18 months ago in that interview, described the 10% inflation that was originally set as pie in the sky inflation. It makes me believe that we're probably a little late on fixing this game, but the cow's pretty dry. And as far as expenses go, here is monthly expenses since the beginning of DOT in USD. We've talked about 450 million expenses per year here. We have almost $350 million in expenses per month sometimes when DOT was much higher. This is the cost of the network so far. This is immature. We need to stop the gravy train and we need to grow up. Okay, so here are a few step change examples. Here's a very popular one, but it puts a lot of pressure on us to act very fast. This is what we call Sama's halving boom. It's a 2-year inflation period with halving, so 50% steps to a $2.1 billion cap. No, sorry, 2.1 billion dot cap. So 2-year steps, 50%. It's a halving, 2.1 billion cap. Here's a medium pressure one. Again, 2-year periods. This is a 33% step down to a 2.1 billion cap. So we call this Woods 2/3 inning. That's a medium pressure one. Here's a much softer one. This is Lackey's Pie, Banana Cream Edition. This is a 2-year period with a 13.14% step down every 2 years, to a $3.14 billion cap. Thank you, Funky. And just so you know real quick, these two charts here show us the market cap we'd have to keep to maintain today's expenses in USD, 450 million per year. This is what the market cap we'd have to reach to maintain 90 million expenses, that target that Gavin gave us at the Web3 Summit. Okay, that's it. That's as much as I could. Thank you, Funky, for the beautiful sound. And look out on the forum. I'm going to present this information, and we'll have some debates on these 3 models. I think it's going to be these 3 models that I said. Look out for that today. Just want to thank everybody who participated in that group. Some people didn't believe it's valuable to do crowdsource research. Keep it in the ivory tower. I think we proved them wrong. And so, yeah, thanks a lot. We're going to now move on to discuss Richard's 1315. This is Ref 1315. Creation of asset ID comm systems with asset ID credential verification. 150,000 USDT. And this was a medium spender that passed with 58% support. Richard, you wanted to come back and tell us how it's going, sir. Welcome back to the show.
Hey, Jay. Hey, everyone. Thanks for having me. Yeah, I do apologize. I was planning to come back a while back, but we've had a few delays. So I thought it's best to come back with a bit more tangible presentation of what we've achieved and what I think would be a good payback to the community in terms of a use case for Asset DIGCOM. I think when it sort of first came up, I think it was probably a difficult proposition for people to get their heads around, and I hold my hands up. It's probably my explanation that caused the problem, but thanks for everyone for pushing it forward. We're using 2 particular use cases, so just a bit of history. It was 150K. So the premise was, if you think of a particular asset, now when people think of an asset, they think of Bitcoin or Ethereum or DOT, but you've got to think much broader. So think of an asset and think of the interaction of people messaging around that asset over a period of time and having storage that's linked to that asset. So this is sort of, think of a blockchain of messages all around the asset. That's a very simple way of thinking about it. So we've developed a proposition for our own use case, which is that the asset would be a property, real estate property. But what I think from my own experience, and if I can share my screen, we've had a number of issues when applying for bounties, and this is not a slate on any curators. I think everyone's been amazing in terms of the curators. I think it's a really hard job. So we've developed this system called bars because I spend a lot of time in bars. I thought it's quite appropriate. And it's P bars, so I don't know if that's Polkadot bars. I think Polkadot bars is better. Anyway, so the reason is that in my opinion, there's a lot of friction around when you apply for any particular bounty. And speaking to some of the bounty curators, they've had some issues in terms of sort of application spamming. I won't read through the list, but I think if you've been in the ecosystem, you know, either as a user, as an applicant, the issues, and also if you're a curator. I mean, creators have done a great job putting together some really good bounties, but I think it's still quite clunky, still very Web 2 in terms of using systems like Monday.com or Excel spreadsheets or other very centralized systems. And the decisions are generally made behind closed doors, so it's quite gated. So yeah, basically we created this system called bars, and the idea is that if you think of it in 3 parts, so there's a DID. So the DID this particular system, we partnered with the Kilt team. So it's in the use case that we're going to go through now has been developed with the DIP palette, which DID. A DID is a digital identifier. It's not an ID necessarily, but it's just like a wallet, if you think of it. But the idea is that then you can use that as an identifier to then create messages around an asset that are stored and can be referred to, interrogated, verified, and all that sort of stuff. So think of the DID as being one palette. Then there's palette buckets. So the idea of this sort of ecosystem, that you create this system and then you create namespaces, and then you have buckets within the namespaces. It'll make more sense as I go along. And then the final thing is storage. So how does this work in terms of these messages, both text messages and documents and things like that? Where are they stored? They're stored in any kind of storage system. I mean, it's very, very configurable. So, but for the moment, let's just think DIP palette, buckets, and then storage would be something like Crust or some IPFS system. So this first video is going to show you what it looks like. If you imagine that this has been configured with the idea of that we could launch this on a Polkadot chain, that would look at would interact with the bounty palette and enable any bounty team to utilize this and have like a customizable way of managing child bounty applications. So I'll just talk through this as it goes through. So the bounty curator, or the one who created the bounty, would connect. They would choose their particular bounty, and then they would create their bounty as a namespace. So we're going to use event bounties. Just a caveat: the event bounty team have not supported. Well, they haven't backed this system. They've just supported me with a lot of feedback, as a number of other bounty teams have. So it would automatically set up the system with all the curators that were originally part of that bounty application, and then you could add more bounty teams to it. The idea is that they can create customizable templates for any of the application for child bounties. So very simple drag and drop system, but Apollon weren't actually part of this process, but they were very good in terms of advising us. And I think going forward, if people want to make it more complex or more interactive, there could be loads of things that Apollon or someone else from the ecosystem could do. So basically, the bounty team create their templates. There is an initial form just so applicants can be vetted by the curators. So then they can start to do their applications. And as you can see, each tab shows you various different things. So the applications are the initial sort of where an applicant wants to join or be able to apply for a particular bounty. And then once they've applied, there's this system of the proposal comes through. So it's all completed and it's very transparent. All the documents associated with that application are all linked and in one place. and then all of the messages, the interactions between the different people, the curators and the applicant, are all recorded, and then they're available. This system can be completely transparent, or it can be encrypted, or a mixture of the two. So imagine, I don't know, say there's a BD initiative and it's a very sensitive, maybe it's Coca-Cola, there's some contractual stuff, or into Miami, contractual stuff, documents, they want to be encrypted. So the user, the applicant, can create the bucket and then determine and give the curators read and write access and determine whether that bucket is encrypted or not. It's entirely configurable. So I think there's a big conversation to be had about it. And then the next video, it just goes in from an applicant's perspective that they would connect their particular wallet or go to a particular bounty, or have I just gone through the same one? Okay,
that's it. Thanks very much, Richard. That's it for the 8-minute slot. I'm loving that buzzer there, Funkytron. Thank you very much. That was a little surprising. A little bit of a pitch for, looks like a future project coming up, actually. But thanks very much, Richard, for coming on.
No worries. Any questions?
No time. We're going to move on now to the title wrap of the show. This is 1684. We've got Roman and we've got Zoe on the show looking to bring us the flagship conference, this one in Buenos Aires. What are we looking for total here? 738.75 thousand USDC. Roman, Zoe, guys, welcome to the show. 8 minutes on the clock. The floor is yours.
Hey guys, thanks Jay. So you want to present?
Yep, I'm on it. 1 second.
We'll try to keep it brief. We're not doing 29 slides like you did, Jay. That was crazy.
Set a bad example.
Damn. No, it was good. Like you made it. All right.
Oof, looks good.
That's not the final design. Just FYI.
Well.
Could you go full screen?
1 second. Having difficulties.
We can see it pretty well here.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Okay, so let's go to the next slide. Cool. So yeah, first, I'm Roman, the founder of Web0. With me is Zoe, who runs all of our marketing and much, much more than that. So we are kind of leading Web0 and applying for funding for this main event. We've done sub0 in December in Bangkok for the first time and kind of changed the format a little bit, made it a bit more easier to get in. And now we are proposing to make it into the flagship conference per year, kind of adding everything that is used to be in Decoded as well. So just to focus everybody's resources on one big event. And yeah, it's going to be right before Dev Connect. So I think it's perfect timing. And yeah, we're going to show everybody what Polkadot is all about. Yeah, and so it's 3 days. It's around the clock. We have a hacker stage, a hacker space, and a hackathon. We're going to do our classic catering, you know, the Web0 style. Hopefully enough food, but I'm sure it will be. And we have an open bar and free tickets, of course, as well. It's a bigger capacity than we had in Bangkok, just to reflect putting two conferences together. And yeah, we invite everybody to join. Sorry, it's gonna be yeah, a very big event with 20 events in the space during the 3 days. So it's like a lot at once. And we have like 60 or more speaking slots. All right. So yeah, the venue is insane. So we got this months ago already. It's beautiful. It's in Buenos Aires in the center. It's like a neo-brutalist masterpiece, I would say. It's probably the biggest photo studio in Buenos Aires for big productions, and it has everything. 20 rooms, 2 big floors for stages, Then we have a rooftop, and yeah, everything you would need. So yeah, this time, because it is a big expense, we were working on getting more live streaming. So we want to make sure that everything is like a great event online as well. So we're going to have 2 stages live with professional translators, yeah, and have moderation and all of this. So yeah, the main stages. Upstairs is going to be the decoded stage, the product stage. It's beautiful. It has this huge backdrop where we're going to project on. So it's like really immersive. So the presentations are like all around the speakers. And the decoded stage is downstairs. It's in the basement. So it's sub0, right? Sorry. And it's like, yeah, for development topics, we'll have seating on the sides and the speakers in the middle. So it's like 200 seats downstairs and 300 upstairs. Yeah, and we are doubling down on the presentation and feel of it, building, yeah, immersive experiences in there, holograms, everything is going to be customized, fitting to our design.
I don't think people understand how sort of tangible this is really going to be. Like as soon as you enter the venue, you're going to be able to sort of like touch and feel the innovation of Polkadot. So it's going to be absolutely insane and unlike anything that any conference that Polkadot's ever seen. So yeah, production quality is really top notch.
Yeah. And yeah, since we've we just closed the Web3 hackathon in Berlin, and we're gonna move that concept over to Buenos Aires. So we'll do a big hackathon on the Polkadot Hub, have milestone bounties again, and yeah, we're gonna seek funding from other teams. So like, for example, in Berlin, we had like 20K to start with, and then we got like more than 80K committed from partners. So we want to achieve this again to make it really, really big and attractive for hackers. So yeah, and scholarships, of course. So we are putting more money into scholarships, so we can bring more than 100 students from top universities, and we'll have Lorena from .latam manage this process. She's very good connected.
In collaboration with PBA.
Yeah, that too. Yeah, we have like, we want to move away from the concept of conference booths. They're a bit generic and a bit boring. So since we have a lot of rooms, we're gonna make sure that this is all like themed rooms that we can put more in the decor and art. But let's move to the pricing, because we got questions about like, why is the price this high? So we always try to be on the lower side of things. We always try to be super efficient. That's kind of our ethos, and why we're doing these events in the first place, to make them better. And we have like a dedicated budget with a lot of details uploaded, so you can see where everything goes. But yeah, we had to increase from Bangkok a little bit, also because like just 2 events in one is more expensive. I have to rush a little bit. All right, let's have some questions.
Great. I think we have about 1 minute left here.
Yeah.
You know, the Cruise has been following Web0 all year. You guys are thrifty and amazing. Toronto Polkadot community exploded after the block space came into town. Tommy, go ahead.
I would actually like to shower you with appreciation, but we don't have the time. My question is, who will select the topics for the presentations?
That would be me.
It's a collaboration.
Oops, sorry.
So it's like Jay is at this table running it. He's a really good moderator and knows everybody. And then with help from the Web0 team and also the .latam team, which have more like local contacts, because we want to have like high-profile speakers from LATAM as well.
We're going to have a nice public process, I think, for figuring out the very best, most exciting on stage stuff.
Oh yeah, we have some time.
Anybody else?
One more question.
Oh, over there.
That's
Okay.
it. All right.
Good stuff, guys. We'll see you
But
again.
we're around online. If anybody has questions, just approach us. It's very easy to find us.
99.9% support of this one so far. Coos DAO recently flipped from abstain to I. Chaos DAO, I imagine, is looking pretty good. I think this one is looking healthy. We'll check next week. Thanks, guys. I'm going to move on now to Ref
Thank you.
1688. Gossamer is back with a new strategy to contribute to Polkadot. 815.36 thousand USDC, moving away from the separate client to contributing directly to the Polkadot client. We have Kirill back on the show, I believe. Kirill,
Yep.
what's up, dude? Third client.
Hey.
So what's the correction on my intro
I
there?
mean, you said a second, but
Second
yeah,
client.
I mean,
You were
it's
second client.
Okay,
or
all
maybe
right.
it's you who are or third client.
Looks like we're running on the time now, so you guys take it away.
Hi. So I'm gonna right away dramatically lower the bar on amount of slides since I don't have any, but I'm gonna present the referenda, so everybody see what I'm talking about. So as you know, we're Gossamer team Chain Safe. We've been doing the Golang implementation of the Polkadot client. The referenda didn't went well, not only for us but also for Kagome and multiple other technical, projects. So for us, it was obviously a question what we're going to do next, because we have a pretty big team. It requires a lot of people to develop a protocol, even though our team is still like 3 times smaller than Parity, who works on the same amount of work, roughly. And what we did is we basically went to the Parity and we asked them, what are we going to do? Because, yeah, we have 9 protocol engineers with multiple years experience working on the protocol side of things, and they said, yeah, we actually have a lot of work, so why wouldn't you help us? We spent a couple of weeks on due diligence on R&D of open problems that are like Parity have on their plate, but they don't have time to work on them. So the one I will briefly describe them. So the one is the approval checking rewards. This is basically idea that the current approval process is actually nor rewarded. Though it was described in initial RFC, that just was never implemented. This is where we're going to contribute. The second one is the parachains runtime upgrade. So currently, if you want to upgrade runtime of your parachain, this is the on-chain call, which takes the storage, which is basically takes the whole block. And what is more important, it can be bigger than the whole block. Making those runtime upgrades off-chain will actually will remove the limit of how big the runtime can be. The next one is a dependency of the Polkadot SDK as a repo. As far as you know, it's a mono repo, and if any one of you ever tried to compile Polkadot SDK, it's actually around 400 gigabytes of size, and yeah, it's just huge, and honestly, some cleanups needs to be there. Another one is the WebRTC transport between Light client. So this is what Gavin is talking a lot about when he's talking about the gem, is the idea that, right, Light client is supposed to remove the centralization point when it comes to your browser is using some specific full node. It can rely on the Light client for a verification, but then at the end of the day, Light client is actually using RPC endpoint in order to fetch the data, like the finality points, in order to understand finality points. WebRTC is supposed to eliminate this problem where small dot, which runs inside browser and WASM, would be able to make a peer discovery using WebRTC. It's going to then communicate with the peers, and hence we're going to get rid of the RPC requirements for this Light clients. So the next one, speculative availability. This is super deeply technical. I'm not going to go deeper into this, but the idea is just to make blocks going faster, to make inclusion process happening faster after the baking is happening. Not going to go into details here, but happy to answer the question. Another one is the chaos testing and DDoS protection. This is something when actually tricky, because we're not going to disclose the result apart from to the technical fellowship and the Parity, because this is more about looking into the protocol vulnerabilities. when it comes from the networking and consensus point of view, because we do have several already found as a team who basically developed it. And the idea is basically creating tools and trying to find out, to try to find out more of these problems. And the last but not least is helping with to the runtime, to the smart contracts team who was working specifically on the Foundry project. So as far as you know, Foundry is a Ethereum project which brings the developer toolings. Particularly, it allows you to create lightweight runtime and like super fastly deploy your smart contracts into this like standalone runtime, simulate block processing and contracts call. So Parity wants to develop something like this, and this is where we're willing to help. So this scope was conferred with the Parity. This is where we're gonna put our effort. As described here, it's not feasible basically to implement all of this within scope of the 6 months. Some of these projects gonna be more continuous, like for example, Foundry. Some of this will be more RFC based or research based. More description you will find in scope of work. There is also note on the candidate items, which means that we might change some of them based on our conversations with Parity as well. So I have a couple quickly questions to answer. Is basically what's going to happen with Gossamer as alternative client. We're going to try to spend some time on working on it in our, if we have some like let's say free time, you know, because honestly everyone is really want to continue working on this. The next one, what is relationship with the Parity? So there is no relationships per se. We just went to them, we talked with them, we created a statement of work, we confirmed it with the like a lot of people from the Parity, from all the technical leadership and engineers, and they kind of see the reason behind it, right? But Parity don't have their own money to pay to contractors, basically. So we're going to the treasury for money. So Parity not paying money to us or anything like that. Why maybe you have a question, amount is pretty much the same. It's easy because this is the burn rate of the team. We want to remain team the same because it's a functional team. And so we just want to work on Polkadot, so not to leave and go to any other ecosystems. I guess that's it. I'm ready to answer the questions, and I see Tommy raised his hand.
Go ahead, Tommy. About a minute left.
Hey. Yeah, this looks pretty solid. My main question is around the financing. So my understanding is the Polkadot SDK right now is developed by Parity. It's funded by Parity, and it's funded through the Web3 Foundation, similarly to how Jam is funded by the Web3 Foundation, Jam development and the different clients. So the question for me is why this proposal is brought towards OpenGov and why it is not funded by Parity or the Web3 Foundation.
That'll be the big question.
Because this is basically, yeah, this is pretty legit question. And so the reason for that is that Parity doesn't have sources of income. I would say it's pretty public information. Most of the money they get is basically from the staking. And so they're trying to keep the amount of company in order to basically be covered by this like staking income. So it creates the scaling issues, basically to increase the amount of team. The Parity do have plans to hire more people. It is difficult to hire protocol engineers. And in the end of the day, they can just like theoretically hire the Gossamer team inside the Parity. This will be the same amount of money, but scale in the big companies is not necessarily works the same. Sometimes it's much better to develop with the multiple teams from the multiple directions than having this one monolithic company that does everything.
All right, we're good here. We're at the time there, but I think that was an interesting answer, yeah, love the chain safe team. I really hope we can keep you guys building for Polkadot. It's a huge win for Polkadot. Let's see how we figure this out, though. The vote is still early, but currently sitting at 72% in favor. But we're going to know more next week, Kirill. Nice to have you back, sir. We're going to move on now. It's kind of similar but different. Quadrivium Polkadot SDK improvements proposal 1. This is Camille we have on the show now. And Yeah, let's just put 8 minutes on the clock and hear from you, sir, about what you plan to do here for 288,000 USDC.
Yeah, I can get started before Funky actually.
Oh, look at this! This is a hack. Funkatron, we need you.
Okay,
He's
anyway,
peeing.
I can have my own clock. Um, yeah, thanks to Kirill, he answered the most difficult questions, I think. But yeah, in general, yeah, the idea of our proposal is quite similar, and the story is actually quite similar. So yeah, we are Quadrivium. Yeah, we were working on. Can you see my screen? Yeah, hopefully you can see it now. Yeah, we were basically developing Kagome, an alternative C++ implementation of Polkadot host, which went live on Polkadot. Fun fact, it's actually, yeah, we actually tried to shut down our validator, but someone nominated us, even though Web3 Foundation was not nominating us anymore. Anyway, so basically, yeah, with a team that actually knows the Polkadot protocol pretty well, because we implemented it. We went through security audit, and yeah, we launched our node everywhere. So yeah, it's compatible. And again, yeah, kind of when our proposal was rejected, yeah, we decided also kind of contact parity and see if we can actually help them anyhow. And yeah, which is how we came up with this proposal. Yeah, our feature set is different from what Gossamer is proposing. But yeah, overall, what we're trying to do is kind of prepare. Well, basically, when we had a discussion, we asked like, what are your challenges, what difficulties Parity have, and they kind of preparing to having 1,000 TPS parachains, and yeah, we kind of want to make sure that infrastructure is ready, and also improve some things in security and user experience. So few stuff that we recognize that actually we can help with is, yeah, I will not go deep into the descriptions, just go through the scope really quick. Yeah, first thing is like, we do not have really compact archive nodes for now, because they're not very optimal. They store a lot of data in Merkle-Patricia tree, which we can actually get rid of. And we estimate that we can maybe reduce the size of archive nodes by 50%. And why it is important is, well, basically, well, we have like our parachain archive nodes that has a weight of few terabytes already. And if you cannot kind of maintain these archive nodes yourself, you can rely on some third parties to kind of trust when you query historical data from these nodes. And you can see it when, for example, I don't know, Nova Wallet tries to introduce new feature. They kind of go through, they use subquery to index historical data from archive node, and they actually trust some third parties because they cannot actually maintain so many parachain archive nodes themselves because it's too expensive. And if we reduce the size, yeah, it would be much easier for many, well, for many people actually to hold these nodes. Another thing is actually, it's not only improvement, but it's actually the fix, because currently state sync in Polkadot is broken. It is not because Polkadot SDK and Kagome, they were kind of implemented state sync differently. What state sync is like when you spin up your node, you are not going through all the blocks, but instead you just go through, you just try to download kind of some headers and go to tip of the chain, and then you kind of downloading the state. But if state is too large and it cannot fit into memory, node crashes. And that's actually what happens today, for example, in A-star and in some other parachains that have, well, maybe Acid Hub, because the approach of Polkadot SDK was that they actually downloaded this entire state into memory, and only then it goes into storage. In Kagome, we directly did it, just storing it into the storage, and we didn't have these out-of-memory issues. So yeah, we'll be doing what we already did in Polkadot, and actually we already submitted pull request with the fix. And moreover, we had actually a proposal to actually how to speed up state sync, kind of optimizing some data so that we do not download some data multiple times. But that's nerdy stuff. I'm gonna go deeper here. Yeah, multi-slot collection is actually a very important one. What problem is it solves? It solves the problem of having of liveness that we actually might face. So if you know, we kind of have this proposal for minimal relays. So a lot of stuff that's currently happening in relay chain will go to parachains, some system parachains, and which is kind of makes this parachains security is really important. And one of the aspects is liveness. And today, well, we might end up with a situation when some collators, they might actually collude and they might censor some other collators not producing blocks. And if, for example, I don't know, there is some governance going on, and you a lot of collators they colluded, but you kind of have your own collator which is honest, they can just censor you and you cannot produce blocks. So we do not have we don't want to have this. We instead want to have like we have liveness even with a single honest collator, and this is what we will introduce with multi-slot collation. Again, there is a RFC description going on today by Web3 Foundation, so yeah, we will implement it. Discrete event simulator, it's a testing framework that would actually allow us to have reproducible tests. And why it's important, like, for example, if we have zombie net tests today, we executed, I don't know, some test scenario 1,000 times, and just a single scenario was failed. We currently have no means to reproduce this exact scenario. And with discrete event simulator, we will can introduce this. Well, the test will be 100% reproducible. We will be integrating Polkadot SDK into Shadow framework. Well, we kind of will be doing research, even if it's possible at all. But yeah, other networks, they're doing this, and we have a good background with simulation. We received the Ethereum Foundation grant for that recently. So yeah, hope to bring our expertise here as well. And faster erasure coding. So yeah, we currently have in Kagome the fastest erasure coding, well, faster than Polkadot SDK. And also we have RFC, which further speeds up erasure coding. So yeah, we will conduct some low-level optimizations and yeah, make erasure coding faster, and which would imply that data availability would be even faster. I think that's it from my side. I think we have around a minute for questions.
All right, we got Robert.
Hey, Camille. Thanks for the nice presentation. It's of course a shame that Kagome, like, despite being really performant now, has to be put on pause. I have a few questions. The ones directly for the new project. So, for instance, with the erasure coding that is very fast in current Kagome, is your plan to do that with FFI bindings or port it over to Rust?
No, we will actually take the Rust implementation and speed up it.
Okay.
Currently,
with your learnings from how to do it in C++.
Yeah. There is an RFC that proposing to replace Merkle-Patricia tree with binary tree, so we will do this. And then there are also a lot of optimizations that we can actually do there. Yeah.
Cool. And then for Kagome, since you mentioned that you're putting it on pause, are you still continuing to maintain it in scope of this, or should I also run Kagome?
If someone has any, we will not be maintaining it actively. We simply do not do the process. We team of 5 developers or so we're trying to get it.
Fully understand. But then for Kagome validators like me right now,
All right, we'll ask those questions offline. Thank you very much, Camille. Really interesting developments here. You know, Parity is funded by the Web3 Foundation. Web3 Foundation, as has been alluded to recently, has a massive war chest, and pushing development off into the treasury is a really interesting idea. I think possibly it maybe is a signal that we could do a lot better in the treasury, and we could be using these funds a lot better. Perhaps if it's seen that the treasury is being wasteful, I might as well push some development into it that may belong in other places. But maybe it's a call to us to be better stewards of this treasury, so that it is not used up maybe in the wrong pot. We'll have to see how this discussion develops, but thanks very much, Camille, for coming on. And again, hope we can keep having you building on Polkadot. It's very important. All these updates, although they're over my head, seem very interesting. I'm sure they're very great. All right, let's move on now. We're moving on to... Wait, do we have Ryan from Subwallet here this week? No, probably a DM. All right, then we're going to move on to... Oh, James, you already successful. We're going to move on to Zoe. coming back to talk about Clary's AI beta product development. This is over 300,000 USDC, struggling right now, under 34.3 million DOT on the nay side. Zoe, we've got 8 minutes on the clock. Take it away.
Thank you so much. Hello, guys. Good to be back. I'm Zoe, the founder of Claris AI and a long-term Polkadot contributor since 2019. I was on the shows previously, and today I want to clarify some questions or feedback that we have received from from some of the voters. Claris AI is an AI-driven platform to optimize treasury management and DAO processes, simply put. And going forward, I want to make emphasis on some of the specific feedback that we received. Unfortunately, I must say we have not received a lot of feedback from bigger nay voters, so maybe we can use this time or also follow up questions on this because feedback is super important to know what we can actually improve. The main question he often was asked, why is the MVP not open access? For everyone that hasn't heard about this before, Claris AI was developed as an MVP / like proof of concept supported by Web3 Foundation, the Decentralized Futures Grant program, which is mainly there to kickstart ideas and unfortunately not for sustainable or long-term support. That's why we're going through the beta or through Treasury for the beta development. And I must say or make it clear that the MVP was never developed for open access. I pasted here actually the overall thesis that we wanted to prove. The MVP was there to create a data set to combine the on-chain and the off-chain data and to demonstrate that the AI actually has ability to read this information. This is what we wanted to prove, and we really focused on the data set in the background. There was a milestone, of course, where we focused definitely on the data sourcing, data set creation, and also adding the UI and UX design, and it needed to be a public URL link, but it was never designed for open access, and this is why we need or request funding to actually make it accessible in the beta phase. Another argument that I've seen, we don't need AI in OpenGov. I was very, very surprised in this, and I believe anyone that still thinks today that we don't need AI in any of our workloads or user flows is definitely not up to date. I think there are many, many reasons why we need AI, why AI is already here, and especially in the technology industry. Quoting also NVIDIA CEO, if you're not using AI, you're going to lose your job to somebody who uses AI, and that's what we know for certain. And again, Claris AI is made for OpenGov users, for members, for curators, DVs, everyone that actually participates in OpenGov. And very weak argument that I've heard here, and I just want to emphasize that we do need, every one of us is using AI as of today, so it can also optimize workflows in OpenGov. We need more OpenGov engagement, but we don't need AI for this, was another argument. I do agree that we need more engagement in Polkadot overall, user adoption, but specifically in OpenGov. And our argument here is that AI is a great tool actually to start maximizing the engagement. It's not the only solution, but at least we do one step forward in minimizing the effort that people have or the workload that we do in OpenGov to actually make it easier for people to understand OpenGov and to participate in it. And we can, of course, have several approaches where we focus on engagement, especially through great events like sub0, hackathons, and so on. This is all also engagement, but we need to use technology to make existing workflows easier and to make it just break it down much more for the people. So we believe that AI is definitely one part of the solution and also will help to increase engagement in OpenGov. Another feedback I received, each DAO or DV can develop its own AI tool. Some DVs also said, hey, we tried to use AI, but it doesn't really work. Each DAO or DV, of course, can develop their own thing, but why should we not do this consolidated, right? I like to use the example of the Polkadot relay chain. It's the backbone of Polkadot. We have all the parachains on top. It's a consolidation, and and you can actually customize what specific or how you want to specifically use Polkadot. This would be the same for Claris AI, right? We create something consolidated and we can customize specific features for DVs and DAOs. So developing this in silos, we don't think is very efficient. And we can also share and get actually a stronger product by combining all all of our ideas together. The AI is inaccurate. Also feedback from DVs that already use AI or try to use it. Definitely understandable. Also in the MVP, we had some issues or that the AI is not super accurate. And this, however, we have proven that AI can actually gather the data and can make an impact. However, that's why we are requesting funding to optimize this in the beta phase. Right? Again, proving the concept and now to optimize it to actually eliminate or the inaccuracy. So we want to have a strong product where we do a lot of data model definition. We focus a lot on the data normalization, the data pre-processing, eliminating hallucination, which all leads to the statement. But this is a long-term process. We have a roadmap of 5 months, and this is how we can solve this as well. And lastly, also feedback, ask for retroactive funding first, improve the user adoption. Unfortunately, our team is quite small and AI Web3 developers are expensive. So there is no pre-existing funding that we can use to actually then ask for retroactive funding. Would need to come up with other concepts, but unfortunately, it's not a solution for us. And regarding the user adoption, we have mentioned this also in several comments and also in replies that we do work very closely with existing OpenGraph platforms, also with PorkAssembly, to actually integrate into these platforms where we take advantage of their existing users. And of course, DVs already started to use AI, so we know that there is a need. We just need to develop it right and with the biggest impact and with the right technology. So why would you not use AI when we use it already on a daily basis and when we can actually implement it that it works correctly with the data? These are the quick comments that I want to, or the feedback I want to comment on. And maybe we have some time also to get more questions.
We have a comment from Richard. 1 minute remaining.
Oh, hi. Thanks for the presentation. I just wondered, could it predict the chance of maybe a BD initiative being successful? So could it do advanced analysis based on historical data and give you a predicted outcome?
Prediction is super important. Yes, we do have we just came across a framework where we can use a multi-agent approach for predictions. However, this is maybe something after beta. The beta is really focusing on eliminating hallucination and to get like existing data more consolidated. But it's a great point to also move forward when we also integrate automated voting on the proposals.
Anything else? 20 seconds remaining. Nice recap of Descent, Zoe. It's a really good way to use time. A second appearance on the show. So thanks very much for coming on. And yeah, we'll see how this is going next week. Moving on now, we're heading over to Ref 1672, Polkadot Africa Builder and Community Growth. This is a 352.8 thousand USDC proposal, and we have about a third of the decision period left, and we're about 26% support. It's 26% in favor on the I side here. So I saw we have Becca left. I don't know if anyone else is here, but Becca, welcome back to the show. What's going on?
Hey. Hi,
Hey.
guys. So yeah, we've been gathering feedback on the proposal, and we have received so much feedback. Some people had feedbacks like salaries were too high, and some where the scope was too big. So we've decided that, okay, we would have to resubmit
Okay.
and probably also pull the pre-image so that we can quickly move fast and not stop operations happening in Africa. So we'll be sending a new proposal with a shorter duration and also a bit more narrow scope.
Oh, okay. Interesting news. So you're going to reduce the cost by shortening the time and also condensing the scope. Is that right?
Yeah. So we're going to reduce the budget by shortening the duration,
Mm-hmm.
also updating some teams, some team member and roles. So we'll be removing some roles and reducing the scope. That way, we are not going to broad because the proposal is actually a broad one. It covers like some parts, like so many parts. Well, I won't say many, but just key parts, right, which are very needed in community, especially when it's a dynamic one where we currently are now. So we would be just cutting some part off to make it more efficient and also a shorter duration.
Okay, great. And
But yeah,
did you want to
question.
respond to you mentioned that people were giving some dissent about the rate of the cost of the people. Did you want to say anything about that? Maybe misconceptions people have, or just your point of view in response to those comments?
Yes, good question. So for that, honestly, it sounds like more like a debate in general for the whole community as to what they should pay in general for different roles, right? Because we have these roles that are actually general roles that are also being used in different ecosystems, like operations manager. This is something that is quite common in other ecosystems. Dev roles are quite common. You have brand designers, they are also quite common. If you notice, Polkadot Africa's design is similar to Polkadot, but then it's customized, right? So that is the work of a brand designer. So we have all these roles. We also have we have a part-time developer, and these are actual roles that are, skills that are demanded globally. But there is some conception that we might be asking too much, but because I honestly it's quite a big debate because when front-end developers, when they learn a skill, it's a remote job and then they're being paid the same amount as other people. So why should dev roles be different? Why should operation management be different? Is it the region? That is not a thing. We are now over past that because Web3 is all about equality, right? Same access, equal access. So it's a debate. I would say it's more like a debate for a general scope and for people to actually come to solve, because it's becoming an issue now because some people might be making $50 per hour in some regions, and then some people can be making $20 per hour. So why not just have a consistent role, or a consistent rates per hour for all roles, because they are the same thing actually. It's still DevRel, it's still operations, it's still designing, which is a skill that is being demanded globally. It doesn't matter where you're working from. That doesn't really matter. It's a skill that is demanded globally. Machines, engineers are demanded globally, and they're all paid, and they always demand for fair pay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
very interesting debate. And of course, OpenGov will tell us exactly what price we're willing to pay for the services rendered. But Tommy's got a comment now, and we have about 3 minutes left, and 3 people hand up. So let's go quick here.
Yeah, I want to say there is a few regions in the world that we want to cover. We have a fairly good community in Europe. There is a strengthening community in North America. We have Polkaport East. For Asia, we have also good people in South America. Nigeria, like Polkadot Africa is bigger, but especially in Nigeria, it's a great economy. The people that I have interactions with, they're always keen on learning, on growing. And we look at Parity, we look at Web3 Foundation. They are responsible, or mainly responsible, for business development, for building the technology. What we can do as a DAO is we can build a service layer and we can build a community. Ambassador program is not doing really good right now, and so we need to think about how can we build communities in the regions that work out. Personally, I'm not super keen on the Kaito yapping thing, but what I'm keen on is building communities with humans on the ground that are actually doing stuff that are like helping bringing everything together. And it will not just work via the internet and websites. It needs to work through people that create actual experiences and relay the knowledge. So we have to find a mode how we can make this work. Becca has been around for a very long time. She never gave us shit with the whole ambassador thing going down. She was always there. She was like solid, middle grounded person that is doing her contributions. So I think we should take that into consideration when we think about how we want to establish presence in Africa.
90 seconds remaining. Funkatron.
It's Robert.
Go ahead, Robert.
Sure. Thanks, Frankie. Hi, Becca. I had a comment I really want to make at the last one because I really like that you're expanding in Africa for some of the reasons Tommy mentioned. The countries where you choose to expand, like how do you choose them based on where other crypto ecosystems have been successful, ones where others haven't gone yet, or where you have personal presence from your team?
Yes, good questions. So it's actually two parts. So it's usually we start with research. Does this place have reasonable support for crypto? And once we see that it has reasonable support for crypto, we list it we have a list where we collect all these countries. Then we check. Currently, we chose our next one. A sneak peek is Egypt, right? We're looking at Egypt. Egypt is in North Africa, and it's currently more. It's like the old civilization, and then it's actually currently more softer to crypto than Morocco, and they're both in North Africa. So we always make our research and then we identify. So now we've identified one person who is in Egypt, and she's currently been accepted in the PBA. She's a security audit.
Oh, Becca, we actually lost you there, but we are at time. So
it's.
Oh, sorry, Becca. Hello.
Yeah, I'm here. Sorry, my network. I just would.
It's okay. I think we got a good answer there, but we are at time now. So we're not going to be able to hear Funkatron and Michael's amazing questions. Sorry, guys. We have to move on now. Thank you, Becca. We'll see how this is going next week. Because up next is Ref 1667, Merkle Mountain Belt. Robert, we are nearing the end of the last quarter of the decision period here, last week. And ooh, you made up good ground, almost 40% in favor here. Oh, you're very close, sir. Yep, 8 minutes on the clock. What do you want to tell us?
Can you see my
Yes,
screen
we can.
share?
Just have to say, show my screen anyway.
Okay, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, sure. But okay, we didn't need to see that one there.
Oh, I see.
Cool. Yeah, so we had a good change of tides of this last week. So we're still not at the 50% mark, but the updates we got were very important. So I want to go through like those that we have in there. So in the we had a lot of discussions in like multiple like DAOs and with other stakeholders. And the two primary sources of feedback that we got were either that MMB is too complicated to understand, or that we didn't do a good job at explaining it in digestible terms, which Alfonso will speak about later. We already mentioned this blog post that we did. And the other one that we got, especially from Permanence DAO, is that there's an apparent lack of technical support from the key technical stakeholders like bridges, but also like the Polkadot, the fellowship. So this week we've had a couple of nice comments come in from all parties that are involved here. So first we have from Flipchan here, who like approves of it. He's one of the moderators on the Kusama Shield project, where MMB can also potentially be used. Then we had a nice comment from Clara here that I'm not going to go through the detail of them now, but I invite you to read them later because those are very good comments. Clara's from Snowbridge, and she's also in the fellowship. She gave her approval. Then we have one from Andrew Berger, who's one of the Web3 researchers, and his comment there is like one specifically about like it makes sense for Polkadot to invest into efficiency improvements now, and his answer is yes, and I agree with him. And then we also have supportive messages from Sheun from Hyperbridge, the lead there, and from Adrian Katangiu, the Parity Bridge team lead. And we had been in private discussions with these ones before, but that wasn't publicly on our proposal itself. And now that they've commented here, I think this addresses all the concerns that we had from EVs that, and I understand like that the tech here may be harder for them to assess, but now that we have the support from all these big teams, I think the road is clear there that this concern that the technical stakeholders here haven't voiced the opinion that they will now have really all the bridge teams, so Snowbridge, Hyperbridge, and the Parity Bridge team, and 3 fellowship members by extension here. The other thing that happened since then, on the other part on the technical side, is you see on our jump up, we've been making a slow road up to our 50% or more, hopefully, is that the Jam implementers also voted aye on a proposal now. They were nay before, so we thank them for being willing to take our arguments here into account and changing their mind there. And inside I think that's everything I had to throw over there. Then the other updates I had we're still in discussion with the DVs that are currently on the abstain road, which were mostly due to lack of technical support. So that's Permanence DAO and Hungary DAO still wanted to get an assessment from an external expert. So I think the tide is looking good there. On the KUSDAO side, we currently have 9 ayes against 7 nays. Those nays, most of them have not yet substantiated their reason for why they voted nay. So we hope that they provide some reason or that they change their mind based on the evidence that we have here, because it looks like the technical tide there is changing. Over here, I'll hand over to Alfonso.
Hi guys. I wanted to jump in, make a couple of advertisements. So one is that we created a post about frequently asked questions. We added a link to the very top of the referendum. So we invite you to check it out. Because we are just currently compiling all questions that get asked a lot around. Also at the very top, you're gonna see the link to the recent blog post that I wrote, a primer about the technical utility of MMB. I'm happy to see there were some members of the KUSDAO community that explicitly mentioned that they found the blog post very useful. So I invite you to check it out if you haven't yet. And in general, I just wanted to mention this is our second attempt, but on our first proposal, we're still learning the road. And I would say we are really trying to make an effort to listen to the feedback that we get. So we got the feedback that it's a bit too technical and difficult to understand. So we made a blog post. We got the feedback that the technical support is not evident. So that's why we talked to many of these tech leads from bridge teams that had shown support privately, and we asked them to do it publicly. So I'm happy to see that it shows. We are just happy to keep receiving feedback, and we will work hard to do something about any kind of feedback. Thanks.
Thanks very much, guys. Hey, Robert, make sure you tag me in KUSDAO, because it sounds like I've got to bring the pain to some members not living up to their responsibilities. Time for the whip. All right. Who do we have for questions and answers? No, questions and comments, concerns, praise, confessions? No? It's really interesting journey through OpenGov on this ref here. And happy to see the tide turning. We'll definitely, I guess, know where this is at next week. What do we have left here? 6 days, 23 hours remaining in the decision period. That means we have up to 11 days left of this ref here. So we'll know a lot more next week, guys. Congrats on the progress, though.
Thanks, but we look forward to our up to 11 days of torture as we still live in uncertainty. Hopefully we'll make that shorter.
We like the adrenaline.
Adrenaline junkies.
Hell yeah. All right, guys, thanks a lot. We're going to move on now to take a look at Snowbridge 2025-2026 proposal. This is the Redux. Gotta check. This is still a DOT proposal, I think. 5.4% in favor of this one so far. 24.3 million DOT on the nay side. Was it Alistair I saw come in, or who up from the team is here?
Hey,
Aiden, what's up, bro?
Aiden.
Hey, how you doing?
Yeah, great, thanks.
Nice. What's going on?
Ready to present?
Yep, we'll put 8 minutes on the clock.
Been trying to coordinate things with our proposal. So, I think we can get started. So, I'll share my screen. Give me a sec.
Yep, we'll set the timer for 8 minutes.
Cool. So I did present this last week, but it was probably within half an hour of ST putting the proposal up. And so I'll quickly do a run over it again to give feedback to anyone that didn't see it last week, but try to keep it short so that we leave time for feedback and questions, because I think that's the main thing we're looking for here. So this is essentially a redux of our proposal that failed about 2 months ago, which involves retroactive payment for our past milestones, as well as a retroactive payment for a failed payment that was part of our last proposal. But the main thing is the kind of future roadmap going forward and our work and our funding for the next year. So for those that don't have a background in Snowbridge, we've got integrations with basically everything in the Polkadot ecosystem now. We've grown to over 75 mil TVL. I think it may have dropped a bit below that in the last few days. I'm not sure. I haven't double checked, but it's potentially the second highest protocol in the whole Polkadot ecosystem now in terms of TVL. And we've had growth continue in the last 2 months since our last proposal. And this is the kind of diagram which shows a lot of the teams that we've integrated with or that we directly work with. The roadmap for the next year is covering a ton of improvements to Snowbridge. I'll quickly run through them. So there's deploying V2, which is an overhaul of our new protocol, and that unlocks more powerful arbitrary messaging and unlocks a lot of the following kind of features that I'll go through next. The next is adding support for all the kind of major Ethereum L2 chains. So thinking Base, Optimism, Arbitrum, Unichain, and kind of all the other majors. Support for single-click multi-hop swap and bridge transactions. So with our upgraded arbitrary message support, users will be able to just have a single click to do swaps across multiple chains, multiple transactions. So imagine going from like Base, Ethereum, Polkadot, Kusama, or in multiple different assets all in one click. Now the big one is simplifying the SDK developer experience and documentation around there. I think one of our goals is to kind of push our integrations further. So you can see here, like we've integrated with everything in the Polkadot ecosystem, but we haven't heavily integrated with things outside of the Polkadot ecosystem. And the big kind of value proposition for Snowbridge is that it can bring new projects into the Polkadot ecosystem that weren't already there. And so having a really seamless, improved SDK development experience and documentation there is one of the kind of points of friction to unlocking that. And so that's very important for us. The other important part is optimizing faster, cheaper bridging. So we think we can bring down latency down to 1 to 2 minutes for the Polkadot Ethereum direction and bring prices down even further. I think now they're usually less than $10. We can probably bring them, down $1 to $5 or lower, depending on what kind of transaction is happening. The other kind of main factor is to bring OpenGov new superpowers that it can use to push liquidity from Ethereum products. So, for example, we'll be able to create proposals on OpenGov that trigger transactions all the way to Ethereum that create activity in Ethereum. So, for example, we could create a like Merkle airdrop campaign just by doing an OpenGov proposal. And that's not just for our team, but like anyone in the Polkadot ecosystem and any OpenGov project will be able to do things like that and essentially interact with anything in Ethereum in a way to attract and push liquidity from that ecosystem. Others is ramping up support for stablecoins and UX for stablecoin-based payments. I think there's been a lot of interest in growing kind of stablecoin usage in the Polkadot ecosystem. There's interest from companies like Circle to potentially ramp up their efforts in their integration with the Polkadot ecosystem, which is quite limited at the moment. But they want to see kind of growth in USDC usage from projects like Snowbridge as a part of getting there. There's an area of improving our consumer targeted marketing efforts, improving the decentralization of our off-chain components, which now we've decentralized to some extent, but we want to get to the point where our team can almost disappear and have everything kind of run fully. Which in theory it's possible for that to happen today, but it still would take a bit of effort and work, and we want to push that to kind of full decentralization. And the most kind of important one in some sense is continuing to operate and secure the bridge, right? We've got a great product and protocol in the Polkadot ecosystem. We've got a lot of TVL here, so we want to continue operating that and keeping it secure to ensure that we can keep running things like the current hydration program and so on. So the cost for this roadmap is 1.87 mil. I'll quickly open up kind of our cost breakdown because one of the points of feedback on our last proposal was around costs. So what the difference is from our last proposal is we fully removed the contentious incentive funding. And so the total cost of this proposal is down to 3.1 mil. So that is through removing the incentive funding and replacing it with run rate funding. It's a reduction of about 1.7 mil from our last proposal. When it comes to the cost breakdown, we've got fully transparent costs here. And our target is around 100-hour upfront cost for staff on the team, worth a 30% per hour bonus only in 1 year from now if everything's delivered on time and up to scratch. A 20% margin for the company, and then clear expenses breakdown, which I'm happy to discuss and dig into for all of the expenses and infrastructure related stuff for the project. We did push this proposal initially as like a simple single payment just in dots. We have had a lot of feedback from kind of voters that that wasn't the right thing to do, and then that's something we are looking for more feedback, and we'll post a new proposal to change to move the payments to primarily USDC. So like I think at least 2 of the voters have specified that that was one of their kind of major concerns. But other than that, we haven't really got any other feedback, and so I'd love to hear more feedback from kind of other parties around the .USDC thing, or more general feedback and questions around our proposal. So yeah, sounds like we got 2 minutes for questions.
Let's do it. Anybody have any questions, comments? Yes, Richard.
I don't really know the project that well, but can you explain what the difference is between you guys and Hyperbridge? And their model is fee-based, so why should Treasury pay for yours?
Yeah, so for those that aren't aware, Hyperbridge is kind of not owned by Polkadot. It's owned by the VCs and investors and the token holders of Hyperbridge. Snowbridge is owned by Polkadot. And so it means that all fees, all kind of future revenue, all control is in the hands of Polkadot and Polkadot Treasury. That also has a significant implication for security purposes, because essentially assets that are bridged to Hyperbridge are still at the mercy of Hyperbridge token holders and Hyperbridge's governance, and and what they choose to do with their governance. And so that means that the security of Hyperbridge is still constrained by the security of their token and their governance, whereas in Snowbridge's case, our security is purely based on OpenGovern and kind of the DOT token. So those are the 2 main differences.
Have you done any analysis between the fees that they charge and the amount you're looking for in terms of Treasury proposals?
So when you're talking about fees they charge, I think I'm not sure what you're referring to. Hyperbridge charges fees like for usage. So for example, every time someone sends a transaction to Hyperbridge, they pay a fee. Snowbridge does the same thing, but the difference is the fees that Snowbridge gathers are essentially part of the Treasury's revenue. And obviously that's still very minimal at the moment, because the Polkadot ecosystem hasn't scaled to the point where it's generating high activity. And I think that applies to everything in the Polkadot system. It applies for people just like sending Polkadot transactions and paying validators. But when you're referring to fees, I'm not sure if you are referring to that or this proposal.
Yeah, it was like return on investment. So you're saying that it wouldn't really give a return on investment?
Not at this stage. At this stage, it's public good. If Polkadot network scales and we see a lot more activity, then it could become out. But at the moment, it's public good.
All right. Thank you very much. Looking forward to hearing from Michael when he gets his hand up first. But I'm sorry, not this time, Michael. I want to hear from you, sir. Okay, we've got to move on, though. We have, I think, one more ref to discuss. Rugged again. Sorry, bro. One more ref to discuss today, presentation-wise, 1681. Do we have Max or Max on the show still? Or Vincent?
Yes, I'm here.
Hey, what's up, bro? So this is 1681, 35,700 USDT. We're dancing right on the line now, 46.9% in favor, but long way to go in the decision period. Max, welcome back to the show. What's the latest?
Yeah, thanks for having us back. So we wanted to come back on this week because last week we kind of ran out of question time. So today we want to mainly open it up for questions. Just a really quick overview. Yeah, sort of halfway through the decision period, not quite yet, but almost. Chaos DAO unfortunately came in on with a nay, which is not surprising for Chaos DAO, of course, but still we would appreciate some feedback because we really think this is a very beneficial proposal for Polkadot, also not asking for much money. So Chaos DAO, you guys voted nay. Please provide us some feedback, either written form or right here, right now on AAG. So we would appreciate that. One or half a minute overview, what is this proposal about? And then I'll open it up for questions. So Polkaport East has been doing business development for Polkadot as part of this decentralized futures program for over a year. We now have this very good opportunity to sign an actual contract with the Hong Kong government, with the Office for Attracting Strategic Enterprises. We want Polkadot to become one of those strategic enterprises. And so when we spoke with the government, then they kind of went like, oh, so who do we actually sign with, right? So, should it be Parity, right? But Parity isn't really Polkadot, right? It's just one of the development companies. Should it be like the foundation, the Web3 Foundation? It's a bit tricky here as well, getting them to enter into a contract with a government. And obviously our entity, which is a LLC, which is a limited liability company in Hong Kong, Polkaport East Limited, does not represent Polkadot. It's owned by just the three of us, Vincent, Thibault, and myself. So we kind of went on a sort of a soul-searching mission, who is well placed to represent Polkadot. And the obvious answer that we arrived at is the PCF. Now, one requirement by the Hong Kong government was that it needs to be a Hong Kong-based company, which is kind of obvious, right? If you think about how governments think. And that's where this whole idea of establishing a PCF wholly owned subsidiary in Hong Kong came from. So that is a little bit of background. But now I'm going to stop talking and open it up for question. And we have both Vincent and myself here to answer questions.
Just before we get to Tommy, I wanted to ask you last week, did you already talk to the PCF about this or no?
Of course. Yeah,
Okay.
of course. We had multiple calls.
All right. That's just
And
wanted to
they
verify.
said that they're able to do this.
Nice. Tommy, go ahead.
I want to make it clear how serious Hong Kong is about crypto in general. So this year there was Consensus Hong Kong. I was invited to an event from Animoca Brands. Animoca Brands, for us, this sounds like something with gaming and NFTs, but they are actually developing into a fairly big portfolio company. During Consensus Hong Kong, Animoca Brands gave an event and they invited the Secretary for Financial Services and the Treasury of Hong Kong. This is like a suit. A suit comes to the event of Animoca Brands because Animoca Brands is so respected in Hong Kong. Hong Kong is doing their own stablecoin and they're opening up the gateway for institutional stablecoin introduction. Hong Kong is the gateway to China, and Hong Kong is seriously respected in the whole region. This is similar to how we want to have a presence in the United States, how we want to be in the conversation when it's about stablecoins there, and similarly. So the conversations I had at Consensus Hong Kong were much more serious, sorry I have to say it, than everything I have had conversations about at ETH Denver. ETH Denver was a very fun, light event, but the event in Hong Kong was really serious. There was people from the industry. Animoca Brands sent us a delegation of 30 business representatives of conglomerates and big companies and corporations. They sent us these delegations to come to the Polkadot booth and be presented with Polkadot, and only a handful of ecosystems got this opportunity. So this is a $35,000 ask. This is not a hard ask. We've been spending money on absurd things, and this is sort of when we talk about serious business development, this is one of the things we want to do. Thank you.
Hey, and one really quick feedback here. You mentioned the financial secretary, right, who came to this Animoca event. So Oasis, just to reiterate that, sits directly under the financial secretary.
Yep, exactly. They report directly to financial secretary. So when it comes to the different hierarchies, they are, they're connected to the exact decision makers in Hong Kong. So very important that we are able to get onto this Oasis Enterprise. Just to add a little bit more as well, there's 82 other companies under this Oasis Enterprise, and every single one of them are some of the largest companies in China and Hong Kong. You think about JD, basically Amazon of China. You got Huawei, and Lenovo. These are all companies under this program. If Polkadot can be a part of it, that means Polkadot will have an opportunity to conduct business development with every single project out there. And every single project company under the Oasis Enterprise is looking at the Web3 right now. So, the opportunity is there.
Okay, we have a minute and a half left. We'll see if Richard can leave room for Florentina, and if we ever get to Michael. Is that okay? Let's see. Go ahead, Richard.
No, very quickly, I just think everything BD, we need to throw everything at it. I mean, you think of a return on investment, it's not a big ask, and the opportunity is huge. So let's go for it.
Florentina.
Yes, definitely. I totally support this initiative. A lot of potential. Just one question. Hourly rate between 500 and 1400 per hour is a big range. Maybe you can elaborate a little bit on that.
That's lawyers' fees. These are not our fees. These are lawyer fees. And it's Cayman lawyers because the PCF sits in Cayman and it's their fees and it's what they're asking for. And I can change it.
So they don't tell you what is their hourly rate? It's not
No,
a
it's
fixed
sorry.
hourly
This is
rate?
usually because because they have an analyst and they have an associate and a
Okay,
senior
got it.
associate and a partner.
Different rates. Michael, let's hear it. 30 seconds.
Yeah, please support stuff like this because like Tommy's saying, like we burn like this much in treasury burns like very frequently. Like this is the type of stuff that affects us all in the Asia region. Like what Hong Kong does, everyone copies. So please support stuff like this.
Nice. We actually have another minute left, so Michael, you can repeat the question or the statement. I don't know, anything you want.
Oh, can I just ask?
Go ahead,
Are there
Richard.
any potential deals lined up? Have you got anything that's cooking?
Yes, we
Vincent.
do have we do have a couple of deals that's cooking. I'm not sure if we could kind of share right now. It's still kind of in discussion, but they're related to stablecoin infrastructure. So we are in talks with a couple of the largest players, and things are moving, things are going great. But of course, in order for other people to treat us with a bit more respect, we definitely need a bit more cred. And being a part of this Oasis enterprise, right under government, will give us all the credibility that we need to, speak to these big boys in this like big boys club. Hey, Polkadot, we got like good tech. Now let's build this for you guys.
10 seconds for Funkatron. No, you're muted. Oh!
I just wanted to ask a question insofar as like, why does the PCF charge us sometimes and other times it does not? Like, there was no ref for when Global Stake had to do the Polkadot app thing. So I'm just gonna stop there. It's just an open question. I just don't understand how the PCF works. That's all.
This you would have to ask to the PCF. Can't speak for them.
All right. Thanks very much, guys. Hey, is anybody else in the panel here to speak about a proposal? Then we're going to take a walk down memory lane and a look at some of the refs on the go that we've seen previously on the show. Starting with the BD Hub, enabling business development across Polkadot. This ref has just a few days left in the decision period and there's about 11 million dots split here, 27.2% in favor of this one. We'll have to see if any of their work to flip the DVs comes to fruition by next week. Pixel Proof version 2 is now at 65%. About a third of the way through the decision period remaining. This project is looking better than it ever has at 225,000 USDC. Request to the Web3 Foundation to begin the Polkadot Agents program. That's by Bill Laboon. Still 100% support there. And if you missed Space Monkeys this past weekend, do go in and check that out to hear the vision from the new VP of Ecosystem at the Web3 Foundation, Mr. Bill Laboon. Rewards program for the Inter Miami app, $250,000 USDC for this one. Really tough go here. A little better than last week at 12% in favor, but it doesn't look like it's going to be enough to take it across the line. Personally looking forward to them proving the haters wrong on this one. And finally, Polkadot.law by Wario. This one's on the line at 45% in favor and about 2/3 of the way through the decision period, 50,000 USDC to do some DAO research. That is Ref 1676, and we'll know more about that next week. I'll now open it up to the panel to discuss anything about Polkadot on Polkadot governance. Does anybody have anything they wanted to say or anything they wanted to talk about that we didn't already touch on this week? Yep, that is Richard.
Sorry to keep on banging on about BD, but I really think we should have a very aggressive strategy where we are rewarding any teams or any agents that can bring over a mythical, someone who's in another network, someone who's got some issues, that we can solve with Polkadot. Just need to really throw some money at it because only, paid on results. But fundamentally, if someone's working 6 months, 9 months, a year, we need to obviously drip feed a little bit of money to them to keep them motivated. But then once they got it over the line, really reward for that work.
All right. Thank you very much, Michael.
I just wanted to go back to like what we're talking about with Hyperbridge and Snowbridge. I don't know if anyone knows if there's an answer to the question, but is there someone actively marketing Snowbridge, or is it just the team that's building it Is there any form of promotional arm here?
Hey, Aiden here. So, I mean, we do promotion in basic ways within our team. So that includes like Twitter posts, forum posts, and through our integrations. And we do a lot of B2B marketing. So we have like, direct marketing channels with every single team in the Polkadot ecosystem that we market to. And that mostly happens in private Telegram groups. But other than that, there's not like a public PR firm or anything like that.
Because really the real client that we want to load up on here is like dApps in the Ethereum ecosystem to integrate Snowbridge, because that's where the actual connectivity would come from and the users would come from. Because obviously all of us in Polkadot land like love the idea of this, and we're all getting around it because we all want to get connected to users. Because I think this hooked into Tommy's, I'm going to take a little bit of time here. This hooks into Tommy's post in responding to Altcoin Daily, and that anyone who is like into the tech is already in Polkadot. It's obvious. It's an obvious decision to come and build in Polkadot. But what they were referring to in the Altcoin Daily post is the DOT token performance. And there's a large cohort of our ecosystem, like of our industry, that does not look at the tech, and they're just looking at the DOT price. And when they say DOT is dead, they're meaning the price, and they are right.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is the reason why we need like active teams to be like plugging in externally outside of our ecosystem. And I think Snowbridge is like the best product to do that. So like
totally
bandwidth, I would be putting my hand up for this right now. Yeah.
Totally, we got scope for that in our proposal. I think the big thing that I also mentioned was like the ability for OpenGov to create proposals that can now interface with the Ethereum community and do something like create an incentive program with the Ethereum community directly. The SDK work that we're doing is intended to bring in those protocols. But I agree with you that like we should have an ecosystem-wide effort to port users and protocols from Ethereum, and that like that's part of the
Snowbridge
value proposition of Snowbridge.
Yeah, Snowbridge should be speaking at Ethereum events. Like,
yeah, that's a fair point, and we can totally add that to the scope.
Yeah, the thing with Snowbridge, I mean, compared to Hyperbridge is like useful to people who don't even want to touch Polkadot, but Snowbridge is only useful for people who want to bring their assets into Polkadot, I think.
I'm not sure that I don't think Hyperbridge does much after the Polkadot yet. Maybe in the future it will.
Yeah, it's more about it's more of a utility for like L2 to L2 and stuff like that. Okay, Funkatronics, what do you got for us?
Yeah, so just a couple quick comments as we close down the show. One, I just wanted to kind of elaborate a little bit more on what I was trying to say at the end of Mario and Vincent's presentation, insofar as I do not understand, and I brought this up in Chaos DAO, and I just brought it up again in Coos DAO because I'm way behind on my voting with everything that's been happening life-wise, but because there's no one sees in Chaos DAO, but I wanted people in Coos DAO, because it's public, to see it. Like, why is it that the PCF requires these exorbitant payments at times, but at other times they don't? And by this, I mean, Global Stake was contracted through Parity to run the Polkadot app nomination pool, because there will be staking when the app goes live. And of course, it'll run on our bare metal infra as well as other community validators. We worked out a list with Parity. After we had signed everything off between Parity and Global Stake, and there was a lot of legal wrangling that went on way too long, then all of a sudden PCF gets in the mix. There was no ref that PCF put up and all of a sudden demanded more money. So why is it that PCF, it just seems to me as if they're bilking the treasury when it's convenient for them.
Okay.
Like, why is it that we sometimes have to pay PCF in these various referenda, but other times they're clearly happy to pass along legal documents, review them, and sign them? I just don't understand this. So I'm just throwing this question out here in the interest of dialogue among ecosystem participants. Secondly, because I did not have time to chime in, and because Becca's still in here, and I consider Becca a friend, I am very bullish on what she is trying to do in Africa. I had a very good post on this in early April because I ran into Becca with two of her Ghanaian brothers at a side event, for Polkadot side event. And, you know, I think people have this idea of, oh, she's just bringing like general community people in. I'm telling you right now, she is bringing in devs. We need people, especially in Africa, right? Especially LATAM too. Any young region where the populations are continuing to grow, not in dead ass Europe, certainly not in America, where we're also declining. or Japan, where, you know, they have issues with the fertility rate. Like these hotbeds where young people are leapfrogging technology and they're showing an interest in blockchain technology, we absolutely have to capture their interest now. We want to make them good ecosystem agents. And I also completely concur, and I was largely, that's why I didn't have time, and Tommy did a good job chiming in on this. And I also back Becca because I had this conversation with Ray, my Ardent friend, when we were in Washington, D.C., because Ardent hires people in other parts of the globe. He says, we pay them what the market demands. It's not about, oh, you live in India, therefore I'm only going to pay you 20K. They actually took a great DeFi guy from one of the teams they worked with. They basically poached him because they were just treating him like a borderline slave, paying him almost nothing. They quadrupled his pay, and this guy is now making $80,000 a year, which is still not the highest salary in Western schemes. But for him and his village in India, and the ability for him to actually like support his family, his extended family, and everything else, it is a game changer. You win hearts and minds when you do this. Sorry for the rant. Thank you.
It's always good to hear your thoughts, Funkytron, and thank you very much for all of those. On the declining birth rates issue, this is an opportunity for DOT holders. If you're not making moves to procreate and take over the Web3 space, you need to get busy immediately. I want reports from everybody on the success and failures. Let's learn together and let's get this done. Tommy, what do you got to say?
Yeah, I'm on your side. I'm also always convincing my friends to procreate and asking them when the next child is coming. But you know, it takes time. Okay. I want to debrief the Web3 Summit a little bit and the conversations that have been happening there in terms of developing the Polkadot ecosystem. And I would say there's two major conversations. One of them is tokenomics, where people like you, Jay, take the lead. And the other conversation is go-to-market. And go-to-market means in which verticals is Polkadot finding adoption. And this is a topic that is on everyone's mind. And I think I've sort of developed a grasp on the issue. So Web3 Foundation and Parity, they did different attempts in the past to do this, but sort of were not always like the most successful in how they did it. And so they're a little bit uncertain how to do it right now. I think we have a great opportunity with Bill coming into this new position as Vice President of the ecosystem. But I think what we as a DAO can do, so as the agents and participants that are here, is we need to apply some constructive pressure that we actually get to a point where we have proper business development and go to market. So what that means is we need to very friendly be on the toes of Web3 Foundation and Parity and ask them, hey, are you on top of this? What is your plans? And I think as part of that is that the DAO needs to further emancipate itself and become more respected and become more taken seriously. What I mean by that is that there is certain things that the Web3 Foundation can do and cannot do, what Parity can do and cannot do, and what the DAO can do and cannot do. Parity is very good at developing technology. Web3 Foundation is very good at steering things, but both of them cannot be too open in their communication because they have to be very cautious about what they're saying. They're very good at doing like secretive stuff in the, let's say, in the dark, but things that are very valuable long-term. What the DAO can do is it can communicate openly. It can be very decentralized. It can involve a lot of people that can do like small tasks, but on scale. And so what we did not do so good in the past is communicate between those entities. What I see right now is that the bounties and the different teams that are being funded by OpenGov are becoming more and more professional. They are coordinating more and more. And what we see right now happening in OpenGov and with the bounties is that this is establishing and consolidating itself as a service layer, where some bounties are getting continuously funded, where of course they are grilled, but we see them as reliable service entities. And I think with this professionalization and consolidation also comes that the DAO itself should send some clear signals about, or we should come to an agreement about what are the responsibilities of the DAO in contrast to Parity and Web3 Foundation. For example, I think the Web3 Foundation would be in an excellent position to coordinate business development on the coordination side, and then it can outsource to things that may be funded by OpenGov, may be funded by the Web3 Foundation. But the coordination should lie with the Web3 Foundation because they have the mandate and respect when they talk with big ticket partners that they can send the right people there. On the other hand, what you can get in the DAO is once you get those customers, you can service them with marketing, with UX, with legal, audits, etc., etc. So I think what is important for the DAO right now is that we come to this understanding that the DAO is an actual entity that should be considered on similar terms as the Web3 Foundation at parity. And I think this is a conversation we need to have more in the coming time.
Thank you very much, Tommy. We'll now throw it over to Florentina for some closing thoughts.
Two things. First, I just wanted to come back to Gossamer and Kagome coming back with their proposals.
Yeah.
I totally support client diversity, but I understand that unfortunately they were not funded. But it's very, very nice to see them motivated to contribute to the Polkadot SDK, and they are very knowledgeable and have a lot of experience. So I think we should support them. And on another note, just a reminder to everybody that the decentralized voices applications are closing in 5 days on Tuesday, August 5th. So anybody who wants to apply, don't forget.
Yeah, nice one. Thank you very much. Lorena?
Yes. Yes. Well, many things. Related with Africa, we discussed a lot this proposal because we are a regional that is focused in LATAM, and we see different things related with that. The initiative is very, very important, but at the same time, Africa is a very big continent and they have very different needs. So the spectrum is very big. So we should be delineating or having very clear the vertical and start with a small thing and try to reorganize or make a new proposal to focus on small things, and then in the future we'll have a bigger proposal. The third point. At the same time, related with Tommy mentioned, I agree with that. I consider that Web3 Foundation, in addition of having coordinate the BD, they have to be clear about verticals. Okay, we are another part because we are a DAO. We should be OpenGov and we should decide what to do. But if we are 3 different entities, Parity, Web3 Foundation, and OpenGov, Polkadot, and we have the treasury, we should understand very clear what exactly Web3 Foundation wants or has prepared or has think what to do. Okay, because if not, what we see is a very uncoordinated effort in different region, in different vertical, and the answer is, or the result is that we lost a lot of money for treasury. Okay, it's our money. Okay, it's our treasury, and we spend a lot of things in maybe very good initiative that the result is 0. Why? Because we are not clear. Okay, in the roadmap, in the vertical that we should focus, and we start doing one thing, and then in 6 months we change everything. So. For me, with Web3 Foundation, we should very clear in the vertical when we start the year, and then every 2 years, something like that, having very clear cues, and be as a DAO, we should follow this clear road.
All right.
That is my opinion.
Thank you for it, Lorena. We're now going to throw it over to Spectra from Hungry DAO.
Just a quick question to circle back to Max's proposal and Funky's remarks.
Yep.
Didn't we establish the legal bounty to pay for the PCF's legal fees and lawyers' fees? What happened there?
I'm not sure, Tommy. Do you know? I'm not sure it's within that scope. I don't know, Tommy. What do you know, or if anything? Sorry to put you on the spot.
I'm sorry, I also don't know. Maybe as an answer to you, Ryan, before, Polkadot is paying a flat fee of 600,000 per year to the PCF, and I think a lot of the regular paperwork is covered by that, right? And then if you give them special jobs, I think this is when they start charging. But
For 600
yeah,
grand, one
what's
would
special?
hope it covers everything.
600K.
I actually think for 600,000 per year, you could expect some kind of report where they just mention what happened in the last year.
No kidding. Well, you know what the thing is? I think we still have 2 vacant seats on the PCF. That's it. Tommy, you and me, let's fill them. We don't have enough going on. Let's go.
I checked it out. Austria would not be keen. Like I would. This is the salary you get for the PCF. I could just like directly dump it on someone who does all the paperwork. It's not fun to do this in Austria or a European Union. Like
What,
have a Cayman Foundation, be a Cayman Foundation director. Not fun.
You think you could get in trouble?
No, not in trouble. Like it has been badly legalized like last year ago. So since last year, it is legal to be Cayman Foundation director, but you have to be so transparent. You have to basically publish everything that the foundation is doing. You have to one-on-one hand it over to the Austrian authorities to tell them what's going on. So just for the paperwork, you would have to hire someone for 10 hours per week.
Tommy and Engel starring in AAG, barely legal. All right.
But I mean, if you check out the place on Google Maps, it looks nice. You could also just move there.
Roman, what's going on, dude?
Yeah, I know I'm just here. If anybody has more questions, I'll be back next week to talk more about the event, give updates. I felt we're a bit short on time this time. Ran through, had time for one question. It's a bit tough, but yeah, I just wanted to also add to what Lorena was saying. Like, if you do any initiative, you have to have a plan. Like, I see it more and more. I mean, for us ourselves, right? We have like around 70% people who are not developers that we don't necessarily target directly for most of our events, but they're still there. Like, what do we do with these guys, right? What's the follow-up? Like, how do we get people interested in different initiatives? So I think what Tommy's been doing is really helpful, like organizing a lot. I think we have to organize much more. So we have like really these intact funnels that if we do an initiative, we can just back it up, right? We can be like, yeah, this is not going to be lost after 6 months or a year, because I mean, if you don't keep at it, all of your efforts will be for nothing, right? We all know that. We've been there before. So, yeah.
Thanks very much, and looking forward to continuing the discussion about the event next week. Before I go to confirming refs, I did want to show off this pretty cool tool. This was developed as part of our research program. I'm going to put it in the chat right now as soon as I'm able to. Here it is. Check this out. So if you go to this link here, on the left side, on the right side, you're able to calculate your own step change inflation at home, see all the information, some of which I presented today. But I just want to show off this inflation dashboard here. This was created by Crane, by the way. This was vibe coded in like 24 hours. He's such a frickin' legend. So yeah, this is a really cool. This is a really cool overview of a bunch of different things here. Here are the here's the spending of OpenGov in USD over time. This line, it's overlaid with the price of DOT. That's the pink line there. But this shows the DOT that's been spent in USD at the time of spending, and also the stablecoins that have been spent. Here's that chart I showed earlier. This is the total issuance with that point in time where we're flattening the curve. So that's interesting. Here's a split in USD of rewards to nominators and validators all time. That's pretty interesting. Here is another look at governance spending. This is stacked also in USD. So this is month by month. You can see when Giotto had his grip on the treasury right here. We started OpenGov right about here in the middle of 2023. Before we had Governance 1, not very efficient at getting spends through. But then we have OpenGov, very efficient at getting spends through. But hopefully we're getting more efficient at actually spending the money. That's kind of interesting. Here, that is again stacked with the money going to nominators and validators. So OpenGov spending looks a little less serious when you put it against the money, the expenses toward security. Here it is normalized, if you like that, and then just some other stats there. So you can check that out. This is very cool. One of the very cool results coming from our research in the group there. And again, thanks to Crane and everybody who contributed. And contributions are still coming in. We'll get those paid out pretty soon. Okay, so let's take a look at the refs that are confirming right now. Yep, UX Bounty, the Q3 refill proposal, 67,085 dot, 69% in favor. This is about a day and a bit through its confirmation period. Congrats to them. And another bounty top up for the Polkadot Assurance Legion. This is a big boy top up, 500,000 dot. And this is about 2 days remaining of the confirmation period for the Polkadot Assurance Legion. That's the show, everybody. Make sure you tune into Space Monkey Sunday, where we actually sat down with Max and to talk about Harbor Industrial Capital. I have to say, I was pretty impressed with what I heard from the guys here, Max and Mario. And I would encourage everybody to check it out, especially those folks from Chaos DAO. I'm sure their feedback is coming via Pigeon at any minute now. But do check it out and listen to these guys because they're doing really impressive work. And just in general, it's a good episode to listen to because they got a lot of cool. I mean, what they do for a living is they sell DOT to super high worth individuals. So listening to them can really give you some nice framework to how you might sell DOT as well. I'd highly recommend it. Of course, we have the Friday.News pump tomorrow. A little bit behind on research because I'm on a little bit of a family excursion here. Last night at the hotel, I actually had nightmares about being a day late on the Friday.News pump on delivery. So like for the last 4 hours of the sleep, I was just like running around, trying to find a space to deliver the episode. Hopefully that's not the case. So do check that out tomorrow. We work hard on it. And yeah, thanks everybody for being here and for participating. I think we're getting better and better. Episode 255 on Monday. Kusama, definitely heating up. We'll see you all there. Have a great weekend, everybody.